Ja, ich bin's wieder, Käse Neuharam. Hier mit meinem Let's Play von Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Dual Destinies. Und ja, wenn Apollo diesen Schriftzug nicht verfasst hat, wer war es dann? Das ist hier die Frage. Well, looks like I should take that train of thought through to the last station. Well, I've heard a lot about this. So this is Mr. Wright's famous bluffing technique, is it?
Ah, this feeling! It brings back memories of the old days! Als wir noch Deutsch geredet haben! Back when you carved out the name of yourself by bluffing your way through thick and thin!
Gee, Mr. Wright, the judge kind of makes you sound no better than a 2-bit con man. You made your argument with such confidence, Mr. Wright. Now I'd like to hear your answer with just as much confidence. Hey, until the judge asks the question, you didn't catch on either, Buster. What now, boss? I hope you didn't bluff your way into a corner. Think, Phoenix, think! There must be a way through this. I have to dig my way to the truth somehow. Who could have written that message in blood? Nun, wenn es Apollo nicht war. Es könnte auch der Dings sein. Und das Ganze halt anzuhängen. Dann aber jemand anderes. If it wasn't Apollo, who could have left the bloody message? Ja, wer könnte das gewesen sein? Erstmal hier schön die Porträts gucken. Ach, sie sind so schön. Sagen wir mal, es war hier dieses Opfer. To be honest, I don't actually have any real proof of this. But I've come this far. There's no turning back now. Besides Apollo, there was one more person who shed blood at this crime scene.
A person who shed blood? You don't mean...
Oh, but I do. I believe it was Candace Arm who left behind this message in blood.
What?
What? Detective Arm? Are you sure you know what you're doing here? Not really. What kind of ridiculous assumption is that? If you had said the detective left a message to throw the people off, it might have made sense. At first glance, that would seem to be the most reasonable explanation. However, Apollo didn't shed enough blood to write such an extensive message. Oh, Entschuldigung.
Oh, I see! Even the photo makes it clear there wasn't enough blood to write all those letters! But Mr. Justice did survive! I suppose he didn't bleed very extensively in that case.
Na Gott sei Dank,
der arme Junge.
But why would Detective R write the defendant's name? There's no connection between the two whatsoever. And I didn't even know the lady who was killed. I admit the investigation didn't turn up any connection between the victim and defendant. They had never met each other. That's very true. Well then, let's see. Then maybe the intended meaning of the message is not what it appears to be.
The intended meaning!
Not what it appears to be? Maybe the message was not intended to be, Woods.
Grins. Coming from you, that's quite the bold statement, Mr. Wright. You wish to assert that this bloody writing could have some other meaning?
Yes, Your Honor. For something I pulled out of a wormhole, it could turn out to be true, right?
Objection!
Als Maul. It clearly says woods, as anyone can plainly see. What other meaning could it possibly have?
Objection!
But Candace Arm was a detective. Maybe woods only means something to the police. Like a police scanner code, or for example.
I didn't think of that.
You may have tricked His Honor, but you'll never get the best of me. I have a thing for studying on the weekends, as you may have already guessed. And there's no such radio count as woods in the state, dear Mr. Wright.
Is that a fact?
Don't look at me. I know as much as you do about police codes.
Enough of this! I was quite taken with the defense's new theory. But if they can't substantiate it with anything, then I must end this there. Ach nö.
No, please, Your Honor.
Very well, but before we discuss this theory any further, I demand a plausible explanation. So, Mr. Wright, what is the true meaning of the bloody writing?
Well, I believe it's...
And no stalling! Ja, sehr gut, kein Zitronenbonbon bitte. If you can't open up with an answer quickly, I will declare this discussion official over. Und ich geb dir Giftbonbons.
I'm in trouble now. What other meaning could it have besides the obvious one? Maybe it means something in another language. Or maybe it's a code. Think, Phoenix. You can do this.
Which piece of evidence would tell us what the word woods really means?
Ja, was bedeutet hier in diesem Fall Woods?
Woods. Woods.
Ich will erstmal hier die Details mal eben glotzen, tun. Wenn man ganz genau hinsieht im unteren Bildschirm, da erkennt man, dass es nach Woods ein bisschen weitergeht. BZW weitergegangen wäre. Jetzt gucken wir uns das hier mal an. Ja, mit ein bisschen Fantasie und noch ein bisschen Rumgeschmiere dazwischen. Friss das, Schlampe!
The bomb transport case? I've about had it up to you with your shenanigans, Mr. Wright.
Take a look at the numbers on this case, Your Honor. L10015R. Doesn't this string look vaguely familiar?
L100... What does that have to do with anything?
What could those numbers possibly have to do with the case at hand? Now, please take a look at the bloody writing shown in the crime photo. Oh, I think I see it! Fatter girl, that's one of my sides.
It says woods.
Or you could say it's a horse of a different color, Your Honor. The first character isn't a V, it's actually an L and a 1. The next two are zeros.
Oh my goodness!
The true meaning behind the bloody writing isn't Miss Wood's name. It's the number engraved on this bomb transport case. What are you talking about? The next part doesn't make any sense. The next number is a 1, but the bloody writing says D.
Objection!
But the number in the case and the bloody writing can be made to match up quite easily. This is how the number on the transport case can be made to match the bloody writing. Nämlich indem man dürfte eigentlich nur 2 Linien entfernen. Please erase the third downward stroke of the V and the curved part of the D.
Well, would you look at that? Lois!
No, Your Honor, it doesn't mean to be read as a word. It's the number L10015, which, if you take away the final R, is the exact same number that's on the bomb transport case. Erase 2 lines and they match up, you say? Well, I can change anything into anything else simply by erasing 2 lines. What if we erase 2 lines from your name? Would you be happy as Mr. Wright? Oder Ree, wie auch immer?
Well, would you be Mr. Ree?
The only right spelling is right! Okay, I'm doing pretty well here, and I think I've drawn the right conclusions. Detective Arm's real message to us is the bomb transport case number. Your Honor, the 2 lines were added by the real culprit to intentionally mislead people. What? The original message Detective Arm left behind was the transport case number. But whoever assaulted Apollo changed the message. If you're right, boss, then what do you suppose Detective Arm was trying to tell us? Good question. What does this number represent? Do you see this number here? That is my identification number. Candace Arm lost her life in the courtroom bombing. Her dying message could only have one purpose. No. To tell us the name of the one responsible for the bombing. Wow.
Well, don't keep us in suspense, Mr. Wright. Tell us who she was trying to name.
The culprit that the victim was trying to identify is none other than Ted Tonate, demjenigen, der diese Nummer gehört. The defense wishes to indict Mr. Ted Tonate on the charge of the courtroom bombing.
Ted Tonate!
Apparently, disabling bombs isn't Mr. Tonate's only specialty. Somehow, the victim must have realized that he was the bomber. So, when she was caught in the blast, she left his bomb transport case number as her dying message. She used Mr. Tonate's own ID number to finger him for the crime. Why would anyone go out from their way to write an ID number? Wouldn't they simply write the person's name? He's got a good point there.
What do you have to say to that, Mr. Wright?
That only Detective Arm would know the answer to that, but allow me to offer a theory. Perhaps Detective Arm couldn't recall Mr. Tonate's name in the heat of the moment. As I recall, this was the first meeting between the two. It's entirely possible that they wouldn't have been familiar with each other. Or maybe using the ID number was a way to hide its true meaning from the real culprit, thus lowering the odds that they would erase the bloody writing. But no matter what the reason, the important thing is the meaning behind her message. The fact remains, she wrote Mr. Tonate's ID number. Now, just one moment here. There hasn't been any proof yet that it was indeed Detective Arm who wrote it. The bloody writing wasn't found during the investigation after the blast. If Detective Arm had left the message, it should have been found at the time. Objection! Naturally, Mr. Tonate hid it before anyone could discover it. And there's a simple explanation for how he was able to do so. What? Mr. Tonate was able to cover the message up because he's... Naja, es macht Sinn, weil er war derjenige, der die Leiche zuerst entdeckt hat. The first person to discover the bloody writing was Mr. Tonate himself. I was the first one on the scene after the explosion. I went there to ensure safety, but I ended up discovering a dead body. When Mr. Tennant saw that the victim had written his ID number, he used the bomb transport case to cover up the bloody writing as a stopgap measure. Oh, so that's why the message in blood was under the transport case. He didn't have enough time to dry and scrub away the writing. If he didn't report the body right away, he would look suspicious. So those letters lived on the serve another function, when Mr. Tennant used them in another incident.
Oh! The assault of Mr. Justice!
Exactly. Mr. Tennant hit upon a plan to use the bloody writing for his own purposes. So he didn't clean it away. Instead, he made it look like Mr. Justice wrote it. By adding 2 lines to the writing that Detective Arm left behind, he changed the meaning of the message. He made it look like Mr. Justice was accusing Miss Woods of the attack. So that means the only person who could have altered the bloody writing was the courtroom bomber, who was the same person that assaulted Mr. Justice. And that person is Ted Tennant. Gegeben, bitch!
Order in the court! Order, I say! Give Bonbon Ruhe! It looks like we all will have to hear from the bomb specialist himself. Mr. Payne, please have Mr. Tennant take the witness stand.
Yes, Your Honor. That was great, Mr. Wright. Just doing what I do best, which is flying by the seat of my pants. Dismantling the case is yours. Do you think you can handle it? I look forward to seeing you try. I've finally drawn Mr. Tennant back onto the witness stand. Looks like you get your wish, Goggle Man. Now, watch me take your lies apart. Epischer black screen.
Mr. Tennant, I'm afraid we have few more questions for you.
I understand the situation, Your Honor. I was keeping a close eye on the proceedings from the gallery. The allegations are all laughable. Objection! I wouldn't be laughing if I were you, Mr. Tennant. The message in blood matches your ID number. The same ID number that is there on that bomb transport case. Such as far-fetched theory, no better than a tangled ball of wires. I've had them untangled for you in no time at all. You were the first person on the scene after Detective Arm left her message in blood. You were the only one who could hidden the writing and then used it again later. I see 2 times, but then let me ask you. Do you have any proof that Detective Arm wrote that message?
That's a very good question. Well, do you, Mr. Wright?
The best way to prove that Detective Arm wrote that message is to... Naja, das wäre halt DNA-Analyse. Da kann sie ja nur ihr eigenes Blut genommen haben. Und ja. Your Honor, I request that a DNA test be performed on the blood itself. Once we know whose it is, it will be obvious that who wrote the message. Plop.
Very well. Beefy, please put in a request for a DNA test with the forensics team. Yes, Your Honor. It will be some time before we have the results of the analysis. Until then, let's hear more from the witness.
I would like nothing more, Your Honor. I want the court to hear how ridiculous the defense's theory is. Halt's Maul, du Sackgesicht! Bevor wir das aber in Angriff nehmen, würde ich jetzt gerne den Part beenden. Und ich habe gerade eine Wespe in der Wohnung gesehen. Ja, ganz toll, ich darf auf Jagd gehen. Egal ob positiv oder negativ, Bewertung immer gern gesehen. Das war's von meiner Seite. Wir sehen uns das nächste Mal wieder. Sehr geil.